Okay, lovely. Happy Friday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I see both Alex and Georgia are ready. I'm wearing my green, by the way. I'll stand up so you could see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm with the program. Usually not with the program, but I am today for some reason. Okay.
It's okay.
Let's have a wonderful Friday. Let's look forward to the weekend. I don't know if you have anything special planned for the weekend, but we're happy that we're alive, we're well, we're here in body and spirit and mind, right?
Yes, Lord.
Yeah.
Yes. Amen.
Please
That's
check next
right.
week's daily reminder, everyone. We have a lot of great stuff next week, so just please check it out.
So
Okay.
do you want to
Okay.
do the reminder, Alex? Would you like to bring that up or?
No, just check it out on Monday. We got two very good great guests on Tuesday and Thursday, and a lot of great trainings as well.
By the way, we have something that I want you all to be prepared for. It's 100, you're going to walk away as first prize, $100 gift certificate from Whole Foods.
Ooh.
Yes, there are going to be 8 questions, and the person who answers the winner of that will walk away with $100 gift certificate from Whole Foods. Compliments of Dr. Monday, who's doing nutrition trivia. Now, what is she covering?
Yeah.
What are those questions from? The very things that she's covered so far with you all. So it's nothing new. No trick to it. All stuff that she's covered with you all. That's if you've been attending her on Thursday sessions.
Right.
So that would be the first prize. The second would be a keyboard, virtual or Bluetooth keyboard, where you could sync your iPad into and have a keyboard to work with, especially if you have finger issues using your fingers. And then the third prize would be a stylus. So 3 gift ways. So show up. In fact, I don't know if you all take notes when she's doing her presentation. I would highly recommend, from here onwards, because she's coming back again with another trivia later on.
All right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds
That
good.
sounds good. Yeah.
It's a motivation, and you learn from it. Now,
Right.
today,
Yes.
are you seeing my screen? Is my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So I know all of us are very sensitive about food safety and hygiene, but guess what? As sensitive as I was, I didn't realize there's so much information I was lacking when I did this research. Things that I wasn't fully aware of while I'm in the kitchen. So it was good for me to do this research and get this knowledge across to you. One of the things I also learned during this research is that, and I'm speaking from what happened to me a few months ago, is that our immune system, when we get into the 60s, changes on us. And so what things we could get away with before then, we can't any longer. We have to be extremely careful what we eat, how we handle ourselves in the kitchen. And so it has to be a conscious decision when we're in the kitchen. So I thought it was, when I did my research, I realized, wait a minute, this is something I struggled with, and I'm in my 60s. And I'm just in my, what's going to happen when I get into my 70s and 80s? I need to be fully aware of what the food safety and hygiene methods, so that I don't have to have trips to the hospital or food poisoning. Okay, so today, as you can see from my screen, we're covering food safety and hygiene. And we're looking at older adults and people with cancer, diabetes, HIV or AIDS, organ transplants, and the autoimmune diseases. And this also, I recently found, the last couple of years, my youngest son has an autoimmune system problem. And there's certain foods he can and can't eat. And we're trying to still figure out what to do, how to help him in that area. I don't know if any of you have any of the areas that are here shared on my screen, but I know you fall into one category here, older adults, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you may have some cancer. Do we have any cancer survivors here? No? And do we have any that suffer from diabetes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And then there's, I don't know if we have any AIDS or organ transplant or autoimmune system, things like lupus or MS.
Yes, this is Kim Johnson. I have lupus. Yes.
Okay, so there we go. So there's lessons to be learned here. I learned because now I can also help my son. Okay,
Yes.
so the story is Diane was 64 years old and in fairly good health, but her age made her vulnerable to foodborne illness. This is her story. My youngest daughter had been ill and she was in the hospital. So I was in a hurry to get something to eat for dinner because it was late in the evening. I ran to the grocery store, picked up some ground turkey, and I cooked and about half of it as a burger and ate it. I put the other half in the freezer. I woke up with really upset stomach. That's when my problem with diarrhea started. And by the next day, it was constant. I thought it was just a case of the flu, and I had thought that it was severe. My son came to see me and said, "Mom, you sound terrible." And he took me to the urgent care. The medical staff checked me and my potassium level was at 0.5. And the staff turned and said, "You're supposed to die when your potassium level is as low as 1.5. So the urgent care center called an ambulance and immediately transported me to the main hospital. As you can see here in red, Diane was suffering from salmonella poisoning and struggled with constant diarrhea and dehydration. Now, had she not, her son called her, came over to check on her and take her to the urgent care, what do you think would have happened?
She
She'd have
died.
died.
She would have died. Yeah, she would have died. So, and she was in good health. She was in good health. So these things, we don't know when it's going to happen. What is it?
It takes you down fast.
And the turkey may have it had to come bad because she bought it right then and cooked it that very day.
Mhm.
Did she cook it at the right temperature? We don't know. But something went wrong or was wrong. Okay, so food safety is important for everyone, but is especially important to older adults and elderly. Older adults should avoid certain foods to protect themselves from foodborne illness, and adults 65 and older are at a higher risk for hospitalization and death from foodborne illness. As people age, their bodies do not work as well as they did when they were younger. Changes in organs and body systems are expected as older people grow, right? These changes make older adults more susceptible to contracting foodborne illness or food poisoning. So the immune system, we're going to look at that now. It's important that your immune system is vital for your health because it defends your body against infectious organisms as well as invaders. That spreads through your body. The immune system is made up of a network of cells, tissues, and organs that work together to protect you. And when your immune system can't fight that off, we're in trouble. When your immune system senses disease-causing organisms and other substances that invade the body, it responds to fight them off. As people get older, their immune systems decline. Diseases such as cancer and diabetes can weaken the immune system. Also, HIV, organ transplant, autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, weakens the immune system. So food safety, why it's critical to people with weakened immune system. When disease-causing bacteria, viruses, or parasites, germs, contaminate food, they can cause foodborne illness, often called food poisoning. While the food supply in the United States is among the safest in the world, it can be a source of infection. So according to the Center of Disease Control, they said 48 million people, or 1 in every 6 people, get foodborne infections each year. Of those, 128,000 are hospitalized and 3,000 die from foodborne illness. People who have a weak immune system have a higher risk of food poisoning. People with weakened immune system are more likely to have a lengthier illness, undergo hospitalization, or even die as a result of foodborne disease. Older adults, people 65 or older, are at a higher risk for hospitalization and death from foodborne illness. This increased the risk is because organs and body systems change as the body ages. Okay, so the digestive system holds food longer in older adults, okay, allowing bacteria to grow while the stomach may not produce enough acid to limit the number of intestinal bacteria. So they're saying that it takes longer for food to digest when you're 65 and older. That's the norm. The liver and kidneys may not properly rid the body of foreign bacteria and toxins as it did when you were younger. Between the age of 50 and 60, the immune system in most people begin to decline. After age 75, many adults have an immune system so weakened that their risk for contracting foodborne illness increases while the ability of their bodies to fight the infection is lowered. All right, so now we're going to look at people with cancer. If it spreads into the bone marrow, cancer can weaken the immune system. Also, most cancer patients undergo therapy such as radiation, chemotherapy, and/or medication to help fight the disease. A side effect of these treatments is that they may weaken the immune system, making patients more vulnerable to infections like foodborne illnesses. People with diabetes, okay, the immune systems of millions of people with diabetes in the United States may not readily recognize the bacteria and viruses that cause food poisoning. This delayed response places a person with diabetes at increased risk for infection. Also, diabetes may damage the cells that create stomach acid and the nerve that help stomach and intestines food through the normal digestive system. So they're saying we have a certain amount of acid that exists in our stomach that acts on our behalf. If we are diabetic, that becomes a problem. It weakens that. So, and the reason I can speak for that, because again, my last son is having this problem. So, and we're right now thinking that he's in the stage of MS because of this. So this is what happens along the way. As a result, the digestive tract may hold onto food for a longer time, allowing harmful bacteria and viruses to multiply. In addition, diabetes may cause the kidney, which work to cleanse the body, to hold on to harmful bacteria, toxins, and other pathogens. So there's this picture here of our digestive system, and it does hold on to it, especially now people with AIDS. They're saying when the human immune deficiency virus or acquired immune node deficiency syndrome, also known as HIV or AIDS, damages or destroy the immune system, individuals become more vulnerable to developing an infection, including a foodborne infection, including a food. Oh, I have a repeat there. Sorry. Didn't go back and prove that one. All right. So people with organ transplants, they're saying a healthy immune system will try to reject or destroy an organ or bone marrow transplant in the same way that the immune system works to clear infection from the body. Therefore, transplant recipients commonly take medication to keep rejection from happening. These drugs are called immune suppressants because they suppress a person's immune system to keep it from attacking or rejecting transplanted organs or bone marrow. Again, people with organ transplants, they say that the side effect of the immunosuppressant is that they leave patients more susceptible to developing infection like those that can be brought on by bacteria and viruses that cause foodborne illness. All right, people with autoimmune disease, like Kim says, and my son, such as MS, multiple sclerosis, inflammatory bowel disease, and lupus are conditions to which the immune system mistakenly attacked the body. Now, I can speak for this because I was hospitalized for this 4 months ago. If I hadn't gotten to the ER in time, they said my colon would have burst and I would be wearing a bag today. So people with immune system diseases are often treated with immunosuppressant, and they are more likely to get foodborne illness because their immune system can't fight infection effectively. So what's the good news? We're going to look at the steps and food preparation safely that can often help people avoid foodborne infections. And this is the area that surprised me when I started to do the research. Of course, eating at home is the best place to do, is the best place to eat a meal, the safest place, making wise food choices. Some foods are riskier than others. The foods most likely to contain harmful bacteria or viruses fall into 2 categories: uncooked fresh fruits and vegetables, and some animal products such as unpasteurized raw, mild, soft cheese made with raw milk, raw or undercooked eggs. I didn't know that. Raw meat, raw poultry, raw fish, raw shellfish, that's the typo, and their juices. Luncheon meats that we buy over the counter in the deli, and deli salads without added preservatives prepared on site in a deli type store or restaurant. These are the areas that are more likely to carry these foodborne illnesses or cause that. So we're going to look at the risk of uncooked foods. Depends on the origin or source of the food and how the food is processed, stored, and prepared. All right, so I looked at I went and got from the Center of Disease Control what they're advising us. So I've got quite a few of these that we're going to look at. They're saying common foods, select the lower risk option. So let's look at these. Type of food, we've got 3 columns here. We have type of food, higher risk, and lower risk. When it comes to meat and poultry, they're saying raw and uncooked meat is a high risk, okay? And low risk is when the meat or the poultry is cooked to a safe minimum internal temperature. Okay, that lowers the risk. Seafood, type of food, they're saying high risk. Any raw or uncooked fish or shellfish or food containing raw or uncooked seafood, for example, sashimi found in some sushi. I don't know if any of you eat sushi. I don't think it's within our culture to eat sushi. We don't. Refrigerated smoked fish. I love smoked fish, by the way. partially cooked seafood such as shrimp and crab, which I don't eat, but I love smoked fish. They're saying it is low risk if it's previously cooked seafood heated up at 165 degrees Fahrenheit, and canned fish and seafood. So they're saying it's safe to eat it out of the can. It's safer to eat it out of the can. And seafood cooked at 145 degrees Fahrenheit is also safer, lower risk.
Another
Milk,
food to comment on.
high risk if it's unpasteurized. So when you're shopping for milk, only buy pasteurized milk. Eggs. All right, they're saying made foods from grocery stores such as Caesar dressing, cookie dough, or eggnog that says made with pasteurized egg or pasteurized products are low risk. High risk when it comes to eggs is when uncooked eggs. I didn't know you put uncooked eggs in Caesar salads, because when I go to the restaurant, that's one of my favorite salads. That was new to me. Any of you were aware of that?
They put it in the dressing.
Yeah, the dressing, they put a egg
I wasn't
yolk in
aware
there.
of that.
Mhm.
Of course, I don't, homemade raw cookie dough. Well, I hope none of us eat it. And homemade eggnog. The low risk, they're saying, when it's prepared at home, is when it's cooked, basically. And they're saying if you, when eating out, ask if the pasteurized eggs were used when eating out.
Yeah.
You have to ask
The
these
liquid
questions.
eggs that come in the container.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're saying select the lower risk options here. Vegetables are unwashed fresh vegetables, including lettuce and salads. High risk. If you just get it from the supermarket and you don't wash it, very
I
high
want
risk.
everything that comes from the supermarket.
Right. Low risk is when you wash your fresh vegetables, including salads and cooked vegetables. Cheese. Oh, I love cheese.
Me too.
Yes.
High risk,
Me
soft
too.
cheese made from unpasteurized milk, such as feta. I didn't know that feta was made from unpasteurized milk.
I didn't
Brie,
know that either.
I didn't.
Camembert,
Brie,
Bouvet,
I knew that.
Queso Fresco. I wasn't aware of that. That's what I'm saying. Doing this research enlightened me in many ways. Low risk when it comes to cheeses, hard cheeses, processed cheeses, cream cheese, mozzarella, soft cheese that are clearly labeled made from pasteurized milk. So read your labels.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. Continuing on, hot dogs and chili. They're saying that you need to reheat hot dogs, deli meat, and luncheon meat before eating them because Listeria and what is called monocotrogenes bacteria grow at a refrigerated temperature of 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below. These bacteria may cause severe illness, hospitalization, or even death. Reheating the foods until they are steaming hot destroys these dangerous bacteria and make these foods safe for you to eat. High risk. Hot dogs, deli, and luncheon meat that have not been reheated. Okay. Low risk. Hot dogs, luncheon meat. They're saying that you should reheat them. Heat them to a temperature, if you can, if you have a thermostat, to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Deli salads. Now, many of us go to the deli and we buy salads, potato salad, egg salad, all these different salads.
Don't buy that from the deli.
So they're saying deli salads prepared without preservatives in a deli type store or restaurant. How do we know if it's prepared with or without preservatives? We don't know. So should we take a chance and really buying these things? And when you really think of the staff at these the deli counters, how do we know that it's being refrigerated at a certain temperature to stop or slow down the bacteria growth? We don't know that.
Mhm.
So, trusting to buy these sort of things over at any and every supermarket, well, I would have to question it. There are only certain supermarkets I would probably trust because they want to be responsible. Perhaps supermarkets, the larger chain ones, because they have to answer. But how do we know these smaller chain or markets are really, if their staff are really keeping the temperature at to what it should be? We don't know.
I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it.
Teresa, my
All
doctor once told me that don't buy anything in the deli that has mayonnaise or raw
Yes.
eggs or stuff, like that. And I've stopped that long time when I was in my 20s.
Yep, mayonnaise will do it for you. We'll send you to the hospital. Okay, now we're gonna look at flour and raw dough. Well, I don't think any of us eat anything raw dough, right?
No.
Raw cookie dough. Yes,
Covered
they eat
here.
raw
So let's
cookie
find
dough,
out
raw
why.
cookies.
Flour, regardless of the brand, can
Because of the
contain
eggs.
bacteria that cause
E.
disease.
coli.
An outbreak of illness caused by bacteria called E.
Yeah.
coli sickened
Mhm.
thousands of people across the country. 10 million pounds of flour were recalled, including unbleached or all-purpose flour and self-raising varieties. So flours are also carry bacteria. So
Wow.
should we eat it raw? No way.
No.
No way.
Wow.
Some of the recalled flours had been used by restaurants that allowed children to play with dough made from raw flour while waiting for their meals. However, the federal government advises restaurants not to give customers raw
No, make
Mhm.
that.
to play with. Flour is ground from raw grains. It may be bleached, but it isn't usually treated to kill bacteria like E. coli. So they're saying, do not eat or taste any raw cookie dough, cake mix batter, or any other raw dough or batter product that is supposed to be cooked or baked. I have a habit when I'm, baking, I taste the stuff, making sure I have the right, it tastes right.
We used to do that too.
Yeah. All right, so what do? They say, follow these tips to keep yourself healthy. Here, wash hands, work surfaces, and utensils thoroughly after contact with flour and raw dough. So I make bread on a weekly basis. I make bread. I love homemade bread. So I scrub the counter down before I knead the bread, but it says now after, and I didn't realize that. I know after I've kneaded the bread and put them in the oven, I now need to scrub the counter down again.
Yes.
Wasn't aware, I clean it, but I didn't know I would have to be concerned about bacteria. I'm telling you, I wasn't aware of that.
Because it can spread whatever you have next.
Yeah.
I know if I cut up chicken, I have to do that, but I wasn't fully aware that I had to do flour.
Vegetable too.
And then some people make a type of clay to let children play with flour, so they shouldn't do that either.
Right. Okay, so it says keep raw foods separate from other foods while preparing them to prevent any contamination that may be present from spreading. Be aware that flour may spread easily due to its powdery nature.
Okay, yes.
All right, so follow these tips to chill the products. Chill containing raw dough promptly after purchase until baked. I didn't realize that. All right, so now we're going to look at handling and preparing food for people with immune systems weakened by age, illnesses, or medication. Foodborne germs are sneaky. Food that looks, smells, or tastes fine can contain pathogen diseases causing bacteria, virus, or parasites that can make you sick. Never taste food to see if it's safe to eat. Whoa, let's find out. It is important for anyone handling and preparing food to always be careful. For people with weakened immune system and anyone fixing food for them, it is vital. The proven way to do this is to know and follow the 4 basics steps. So we're going to look at it: clean, separate, cook, and chill. We're going to look at these 4 areas. 4 basic steps. Wash hands and surfaces thoroughly and often. Bacteria, viruses, and parasites can spread through the kitchen and get on your hands, cutting boards, utensils, countertop, and food. So they're saying, wash your hands as often as we can. Wash hands in warm, soapy water for at least 20 seconds before and after handling food, using the bathroom, changing diapers, or handling pets. So if we have pets in our home, do the same. I'll tell you one thing though, all of us probably learned from the pandemic was to wash your hands more frequently, right?
Yes.
Wash my hand, my heart, my soul.
We're constantly washing hands. We learned that from the pandemic. So they said that cutting boards, dishes, utensils, and countertops with wash them with hot soapy water between preparations of raw meat, poultry, and seafood products, and preparation of any other food that will not be cooked. An added precaution is to run plastic cutting boards through the wash cycle in your dishwasher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't just take a cloth and wipe off your cutting board. They're saying put it in your dishwasher. Or sanitize the cutting board and countertop by rinsing them with a solution of 1 tablespoon of what? Unscented chlorine bleach per gallon of water. And I do this. I keep Clorox under my sink, and that's what I use.
Yeah.
And I also use the antibacterial dishwashing liquid.
No. No.
Mhm. And I
Yeah.
keep separate cutting boards. I have a cutting board for vegetables and fruit, and another one for seafood, and another one for meat.
Yep. Use paper towels to clean up kitchen surfaces.
Yes.
Paper towels.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
the dishcloth.
If using cloth towels, wash them often in the hot cycle of the washing machine. All right. Rinse fruits and vegetables and use a clean vegetable
Rub
brush
them down.
to scrub firm
Scrub 'em.
skin
Like you do your
fruits
greens.
and vegetables under running tap water, including those with skins and rinds that are not eaten. Oranges, for example, scrub them. Bananas, they're saying. Don't eat meat, poultry, fish, or raw. If the water splashes from the sink in the process of washing it, it can what? Spread bacteria. If the water splashes.
Yes.
Clean the liquids on liquids on canned goods before opening them. The lids.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So you got a can of whatever, put it under the tap and wash the before you open it. Don't cross contaminate.
Contaminate. I know it. Look at them. Bush.
You say cross contamination occurs when germs are spread from one product to the other. This is especially common when handling raw meat, poultry, seafood, and eggs. The key is to keep these foods and their juices away from vegetables and fruit that will be eaten raw, and any other ready to eat food. So in other words, don't keep them near your fresh fruits that you just washed. Separate raw meat, poultry, seafood, and eggs from other foods in shopping carts, grocery bags, and in the refrigerator. Place raw meat, poultry, and seafood on the lowest shelf in the refrigerator so their juices wouldn't drip
Drip
on foods
down,
that
yeah.
drip on foods that
Mhm.
will not be cooked.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't sensitive to this.
Yeah.
Lower shelf and also in a plate, because if it's on the lower
Or
shelf and not
bowl.
on the
Yeah, you
plate,
have
it can
to
drain
catch the
down
juice.
into,
I
it
put
could
mine
drain
in the
down
bowl.
into the,
Mhm.
put it
I
on a
have a
plate.
tray, a special tray for that, and that's
Right.
only if I'm ready to cook it. You know, that's just a
Right.
tray for that meat that drip blood. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
Never
Mhm.
place cooked food on plate or cutting board that previously held raw meat, poultry,
But everybody knew that.
seafood, or eggs without first
Ooh, no,
washing
it don't.
plate,
Nope, no, they don't.
You might.
cutting board with hot soapy water.
Mm-hmm.
Consider
Mhm.
using one cutting board only for raw foods, which is what Ann said, and another
Uh-huh.
for ready to eat foods such as bread, fruits, and
Mhm.
vegetables, and cooked meat.
Mm-hmm.
Don't reuse marinades used on raw foods unless they're brought to a boil first.
That's
So,
right.
you know, you marinate your whatever and you cooking it, and then the juices that are left in the pan,
I
what do you
marinate
need
my
to do with
steak
it?
and go turn and use it on my chicken.
You need
Yeah,
to
yeah.
toss it,
Yeah.
toss it.
Make a marinade for each meat item that you are cooking.
Right, toss it.
Mm-hmm.
Make one big and just pour them on in separate bowls.
Foods are
There go
safely
my
cooked
thermometer.
when they are heated to the recommended safe minimum internal temperatures. To ensure that your foods are cooked safely, always, if you can, use a food thermometer to measure the
Yep.
internal temperature of
Mhm.
cooked food. Check the internal temperature in several places to make sure that the meat, poultry, seafood, or egg product is cooked to safe minimum internal temperatures. Remember when you go to restaurants, they ask you, well, how would you like your meat done?
Yes.
Cook.
Maybe remember that. I don't know. Do
Yes.
they still
They
ask you
still
that?
do it, yeah.
They still do?
They still do it,
Uh-huh.
yes.
Especially
Uh-huh.
those that Kobe. It's like all the way cooked through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because some people like to eat the meat like where the blood is.
Oh God, that just
I
turns
have
my
a nephew does that.
Yeah.
I like medium
Well,
well.
maybe when you're
medium
young,
well.
you can do that. But when you get up in your 60s, no. Okay,
Yeah,
Let the
days
blood
are
run into his
gone.
potatoes and stuff. Ooh.
right. Bring sauces, soups, and gravy to a,
Boil to
Boiling.
boil.
that's a type of boiling, when reheating.
Yep,
Heat other leftovers to 165 degrees Fahrenheit.
yep. I
When
talked about that
cooking
the
in
other day.
microwave oven, cover food, stir, and
Proper
rotate for
utensils.
even cooking. If there's no turntable, you know, some microwaves, you just can't rotate it. They're
Mhm.
saying then manually go in
Stop and
there
stir.
and rotate it yourself. Because when you're
Mhm.
reheating it, you want to make sure that all parts of that dish is reheated to that required temperature, which is 165 degrees Fahrenheit.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Reheating food. All right, so here's I got this from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Some categories, the food and the temperature, if we use a thermostat, this is what they're recommended. They said for ground beef and meat mixtures, food like beef, pork, veal, lamb, turkey, chicken, all should be cooked at 160 degrees Fahrenheit or 65 degrees. Well, the beef, pork,
100.
veal, and lamb, 160 degrees Fahrenheit.
65.
Turkey and chicken, 165. They're saying that should even be higher than the beef.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest
Especially
time,
the
none. In
breast.
other words, eat it right away if you can.
Mhm.
They're saying that fresh beef, veal, and lamb, what is it, should be cooked. So why is it then? Oh, they're saying that the steaks and roasts and the chops should be cooked at 145 degrees Fahrenheit and have a rest time of 3 minutes, whereas the chicken and turkey, 165, should be eaten immediately. Poultry breasts, roast, 165, should be eaten immediately.
Yeah.
And duck and goose, 165, should be eaten immediately. And anything with stuffed birds. In other words, they're recommending you eat it right away.
All the chicken, yeah.
And I
Mhm.
stopped stuffing my birds a long time ago. I
Yeah.
put my stuffing outside of the bird.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, pork, fresh pork. If you eat it, should be cooked at 145 degrees Fahrenheit and rest for 3 minutes before eating. Ham, fresh ham, should be cooked at 145,
Double.
3 minutes. Pre-cooked ham, as if it's already been cooked, you bought it from the
Yeah.
supermarket, still put it back in that oven and cook it at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? Eggs, cook until the yolk and white are firmed. Egg dishes,
No.
anything with egg dishes, cook at 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Leftovers of any kind, cook at 165 Fahrenheit. Casseroles, 165. Fish, such as cod, snapper, and tilapia, must be cooked at 145 degrees Fahrenheit, or cooked until the flesh is opaque and separates easily with a fork. So if a fork can't separate it,
No text found in
it's
that
not cooked
location.
to the required. Shrimp, lobster, and crabs, cooked until the flesh is pearly and opaque. Clams, oyster, and mussels, cooked until shells open during cooking, and scallops, cooked until the flesh is milky white or opaque and firm. All right, so now we're going to look at refrigeration. Cold temperatures slow the growth of harmful bacteria.
Anaerobic
Keeping a
bacteria.
constant refrigerator temperature of 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below is one of the best ways to lower the risk of foodborne illness. Used an appliance thermometer is to be sure that a refrigerator temperature is constantly 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below, and the refrigerator temperature is 0 degree Fahrenheit. So if you don't have one of those newer model refrigerators, get one of these
Thermometer.
and keep it in there to make sure it's staying at 40 degrees or below. In fact, they're suggesting 40, I would even say 32. Because if you notice down there, it said 0 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, so they're saying the US Department, again, of Agriculture recommends that eggs, this is how long you should keep them in your refrigerator. Now, eggs can be dangerous if they're eaten, if you've had them for a while. Fresh in shell or hard cook, 3 to 5 weeks. Okay, the fresh ones in shell, 3 to 5 weeks you can eat. It's safe to eat it. Of course, you're not going to freeze it. The hard cooked ones, if you boil it and put it back in there, only 1 week. Pasteurized eggs or egg substitutes, if you buy those in the containers, if it's open, 3 days. If it's unopened, 10 days. But you can freeze the liquid pasteurized eggs up to a year. You can't freeze it. All right, eggs, chicken, ham, tuna, and macaroni salads. If you just bought it or made it, 3 to 5 days.
3 days.
Don't freeze it. It
No.
doesn't freeze well.
No, it's messy.
Hot dogs.
In the water.
It gets
Open
watery,
package.
yeah.
So you open a pack of hot dogs. How long should you keep it after you've opened it? 1 week. Can you freeze it? They say, yeah, from 1 to 2 months. Put it in a Ziploc and freeze it
Yep.
up to 2 months. Unopened package in the refrigerator, 2 weeks after purchase. You can freeze it from 1 to 2 months. luncheon meats, open package, 3 to 5 days. Or you can freeze it 1 to 2 months. Unopened package, 2 weeks after you purchased, and you can freeze it 1 to 2 months. Bacon, 7 days,
Those in 1 month.
but you can freeze it for 1 month. And raw
Sausage.
sausage, yes, these are sausages from raw from chicken, turkey, or pork or beef.
Okay.
1 to 2 days. That's not safe, is it? 1 to 2 days. Or you can freeze it 1 to 2 months. All right, continuing on. We're looking now at hamburger, ground beef, turkey, veal, pork, lamb, and mixture of them. In the refrigerator, 1 to 2 days after they've been prepared.
Goes
Or
to
you can freeze it, look how long, 3 to 4 months. So it's best to, if you're not sure you're going to eat it in the next few days, put it in a Ziploc, a freezer Ziploc, and what?
Put it in the freezer.
Put it in the freezer, right? Steaks, chops, and roast must be eaten after prepared 3 to 5 days, or it can go in the freezer 6 to 12 months for steaks. I guess pork chops is what they're saying here now, 4 to 6 months. And roast, look at this one, 4 to 12 months.
Mhm.
Safe to eat it. Chicken or turkey, whole, right? 1 to 2 days after
1
you
year.
prepared it, or
1 year.
1 year in the freezer. Chicken or turkey pieces, 1 to 2 days or 9 months in the freezer. Lean fish such as flounder, haddock, and halibut, after cooked 1 to 2 days or 6 to 8 months in the freezer.
Mhm.
Fatty fish such as salmon and tuna, 1 to 2 days or 2 to 3 months in the freezer. Leftovers, meat or poultry, 3 to 4 days in a refrigerator, 2 to 6 months in the freezer. And they said chicken nuggets and patties, the same. But only 1 to 3 months frozen. So that's how you should look at when it comes to deciding whether you're going to eat leftovers or cook the food you put in the refrigerator. You've got days or months. So what's the best way? Put it in a Ziploc in the freezer. Put the date on it too in the Ziploc. When you put it in the Ziploc, put your date on it.
Yeah.
Or put a label. Whatever
Yeah,
works best for
label.
you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's important also to keep in mind that when you put food in the freezer, the longer it stays in the freezer, the more of the value of the product decreases. It decreases in taste and also decreases in nutrients the longer it stays in
It
the
becomes
freezer.
water too.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you for adding that. Thank you very
You
much.
get watery.
I don't know if you all heard what she said. The
Yes,
longer
and
it
always
decreases.
put the date that you bought it so that you can keep up with when you go in there. And what I
Yes,
do is, as I use it, I replace it.
Right.
I
All right,
don't.
let's look at shopping. We're now going to be doing some shopping.
I don't think it's me.
We're going to the market. It says this is when you're shopping. I don't know how many of you go out to shop these days. Put raw packaged meat, poultry, or seafood in a plastic bag before placing it into the shopping cart so that its juices will not drip and contaminate other foods. If meat counters do not offer plastic bags, pick some up from the produce section before you go to the meat section and put it in there.
Right
That's
on.
what I do.
Okay.
Big green bags.
Buy only pasteurized milk, cheese, and other
Yes.
dairy products from the refrigerated section.
Don't buy that fake in half.
When buying fruit juice from refrigerated section of the store, be sure that the juice label says it is what? Pasteurized.
Pasteurized.
Right. And look at the sugar content.
Right. Purchase eggs in the shell from the refrigerated section of the store and store in your refrigerator once you are home immediately. Don't leave them
Let me
out
see
in the
the date.
camper
Let me see
overnight.
the date.
Those are good to put in plastic bags too, in case one cracks.
Right.
Now, if
For
it crap, I'm gonna go
recipes-
back and get another old dozen.
For recipes that call for eggs that are raw or uncooked when the dish is served, such as homemade Caesar salads, which I just learned during this research, and homemade ice cream, use
Yeah.
shell eggs that have been treated to destroy
Boy,
salmonella,
from salad master.
pasteurization, or pasteurized products.
What's the one I use? Highlands pasteurized eggs.
Ah,
Mhm. I
Okay,
always use them. Mhm.
now here's something that many of us struggle with. I know I struggle with this part.
What?
Many consumers misunderstand the purpose and meaning of date labels that
Label.
often appear on packaged foods.
Mhm.
Confusion over date labeling accounts for an estimated 20% of consumer food waste.
Mhm.
Many manufacturers are not required by federal law or regulation to place date labels based on safety or quality on packaged food. And this is
Okay.
confusing because you've got some, it's got a date on it, the date is expired a week or 2 weeks, and some people are in a hurry to just dump it. And I know people that
It
just,
doesn't go.
so this is a big question, and I still, in
You know,
doing this research, I still didn't get the answer. What do you do?
excuse
don't
me,
really
Miss Teresa. You know, I was a cook at the church. You know, I was a certified cook and all. And they told us in our food workshops too about mainly the canned goods and boxes. You know, because we had to buy, buy bulk. And it said, if our date said, March the 17th, expiration date, that's the day the store could not sell it after that date. But
The
it was
store
good
couldn't
on our
sell it.
shelf.
Yes.
Sell
But
by.
what if it's in your pantry at home?
It's
What
good.
happens?
It's good.
Yeah, it
So
says
let's-
How
good
long?
there.
How
So
long?
Mhm.
the US
As
Food and
long as the can is not swell, if you see a can swelling or it's
Well,
got a
or
dent,
rust, something wrong.
throw
That's
that
wrong.
away. But
Right.
otherwise, and the best date you buy use is for the freshness of what's in the can.
Mhm.
So
Uh-huh.
the US Food and Drug Administration supports efforts by the food industry to make it best if used by. Best.
Mhm.
Terminology.
Used by that
If
date.
used
Mhm.
by.
That answers my
The
question.
standard phrase to indicate the date when a product will be at its best flavor
And
and
quality.
And quality. Amen.
consumers should examine foods for signs of spoilage that are past their best if used by date. If
Mhm.
Yep.
the products have changed noticeably in color, consistency, or texture,
Throw it away.
consumers may want to avoid eating them. So you open a can of something that you normally do, something, and it just doesn't look right. Don't
Throw
try
it
to
away.
save money
If
and
in
eat it.
doubt, throw it out.
Throw it out. Do more harm eating it than saving, because you might, okay, I don't want to waste it. It cost me $1.50, but what? Guess what?
And all that
Might
money.
cost you
All
another
that more to undo it in your
$50
system.
to get well again.
Yeah, maybe even cost debt. So, all right, so they're saying when bringing groceries home from the supermarket, follow these tips. Pick up perishable foods last and plan to go directly home from the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
Always refrigerate perishable foods within 2 hours of cooking or purchasing. Refrigerate perishable foods within 1 hour if the temperature is above 90 degrees in the middle of the summer. In hot weather, take a cooler with ice, insulated bags, or other
Yep.
cold source to transport perishable food safely. So if you're going shopping for whatever and it's really hot outside, here, maybe take a cooler bag. Now you can get those cooler bags now.
Cooler
right?
bag.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like an insulated bag.
You
Yeah.
can get them at the dollar store near Family Dollar.
Yeah, you can pick them up.
Stop. Oh.
Right. So now we're going to look at some of the foodborne illnesses and the symptoms.
Teresa, before you go to that one, I wanted to tell you too, it's another one, say use by. That means you have to use that product by that date. Because some people don't. They say, oh, I'm going to keep it 2 more days after. But if it's telling you to use by, that means use by. You know, like a salad or something, a sandwich, whatever you get. And it tells you to use by that date. You have to use by that date.
Well, thank you,
That's why you
Denise.
check them dates in the store.
Right. All right.
Mhm.
Despite your best efforts, you may find yourself in a situation where you suspect you have foodborne illness. Foodborne illness often presents itself with these symptoms. We've got nausea, diarrhea,
Yeah,
vomiting, fever, and abdominal
all
cramps.
5.
Yeah.
And I know about the last one, the abdominal cramps.
Oh, yeah.
I know about all 5 with mayonnaise.
Right. If you have a weakened immune system, you are at increased risk for a severe case of food poisoning. If you suspect that you have a foodborne illness, take these 4 key steps. 1, contact your healthcare provider immediately if you develop symptoms or think you may be at risk for food poisoning. That's the first one. Get to the doctor, in other words. Keep the food. If a portion of the suspect food is available, wrap it securely, label it to say the remaining food may be used in diagnosing your illness and preventing others from becoming. And there's a reason why they're saying this, because many times, do you ever, when you have these callbacks on spinach or callback, and then they find out a series of people have been severely ill. And if the person had said what really caused what they think it is, then they could stop. They can actually begin that callback ASAP. So it's always best, for example, if you purchase spinach from a supermarket and you have a strong belief that that's what brought about, you need to let the store know, you know, so they can investigate it, so that when others having the same problem, some urgency should be behind that. It says save all the packaging materials such as the cans or cartridges. Write down the food type, the date and time consumed, and when the onset of symptoms. That's if you have time to do it, of course, if you're feeling well to do it. Write down as many foods and beverages that you recall consuming in the past week or longer, since the onset for various foodborne illnesses differ. Yeah, sometimes you just don't know if it's the food you had yesterday or the day before, a week ago. You just don't know. So now you have to go back and look at what you ate in the last how many days. It says save any identical unopened products and the sales receipt if you have it. If the suspect food is in the United States, in that case, they said that you can call the USDA at this number, but I have a better number for the DC. I got the one for the DC one, so don't worry. Is that, or call your local health, which is what I got for you, department if you believe you became ill from food you ate in a restaurant or other food establishments. So I went online and I looked to see which, and this would be the one for DC.
Yeah.
202 442 4924. I can put it in.
Say that again.
Okay, I'll put it in this the chat for those who would like it, but it's of course, you know, the area code 202 442 4924. And I'll put that in the chat. Now we can talk about, at this point, this brings us to the end of my slides.